Welcome again to Martial Arts and Mental Netter. I believe I'm going to let the cat out the hat in this episode. I'm going to talk about ancient Egyptian proper nouns and their transmission into various cultures. That is, through cultural diffusion, how the proper noun in ancient Egypt has been transported to other cultures and how the name have changed. Let's give you an example. In ancient Egypt, there is a very well-known proper noun called Ptah. Ptah is a ancient neter, sometimes called a god in the Western sense, but in the ancient African sense, he is a power or a neter. It is a power that's masculine. It is a masculine power emanating from the soul source or Amun-Ra, God, the soul source. And so it emanates as a patriarchal, masculine power. In the mythology, Ptah is depicted as a man, and he is the man that represents the first birth, the first mound out of the primeval waters or space, the first firmament. Through cultural diffusion, the word Ptah moved to India, and the P became a B, and it was called Buddha. Later on, the T becomes a D, and it's called Buddha. If you go look at the Ashmolean Museum, you will find the oldest Buddhist sculpture in the world, and it comes from Africa, from the Sudan. This is true. The Ashmolean Museum in the Nubian Egyptian section, you will find the oldest Buddhist sculpture, a bust of a head of Buddha found in the Sudan in Africa. So that supports the linguistics that the word Ptah becomes Buddha, then during modern times it's pronounced Buddha. Even a few hundreds of years ago in Malaysia, it was pronounced Puta. It's just very recently it's been pronounced Buddha, but it was pronounced Puta, and it comes from the ancient Egyptian Ptah. Let's go to Gabriel. The Christian noun Gabriel is derived directly from the ancient Egyptian Jeb-Ra. Jeb-Ra is the ancient Egyptian conception of an earth angel, or the emanating power from the soul God that represents the earth, the powers of the earth, or an earth angel. The European Christian Gabriel, whose name is linguistically connected to Jeb-Ra-El, Gabriel, is taken directly from the ancient Egyptian Jeb-Ra. In ancient Egypt, there's a word called Tumeri. Tumeri means the loving earth, and it's the power that emanates from the soul God Amun-Ra, and it's a feminine power, and it's a Tumeri. Mary is a word that means love in ancient Egypt, 3000 BC. It means beloved. And Tumeri is the beloved terrestrial, the beloved land. And so the word to marry, beloved land or beloved, the earth goddess, so to speak, in a Western sense, becomes, is through cultural diffusion, becomes the word Mary. Mary. Going to the next one. Saint George, who's famous for killing the dragon, fighting Apophis the dragon with a spear and a horse. There, as the Spanish would say, there's no j sound. It's an H. It's Jorge. Jorge in Spanish and in Latin. Jorge. So that word is derived directly through cultural diffusion. Is derived directly from the ancient African word, or the Greek version, Horus. Jorge, Saint George, Jorge in Greek, Horus, and ancient Egyptian, Heru, the hero, Heru. Also, that name is taken by lots of kings, and that would be the name Harold, Horus, Harold, King Herod. So, and Hercules. All those names are derived from the principle called Heru, the ancient Kemetic principle Heru, the hero, whose name is taken to Europe as Hercules, and then King Herod takes over the name, and he's the hero in English. He's the Saint George, Jorge. Those are all derived from the word Heru. This is not hard. This is just out the top of my head. I don't have any notes. I don't need it because I've done this over and over and over again. This is elementary. That's what the great Sherlock Holmes would say. This is elementary. Even Sigmund Freud talked about this, by the way, in his book, Moses and Monotheism. He said even a simple armchair linguist can actually figure this out. He talked about the word Moses, which is the next one I'll talk about. The name Moses is actually derived directly from the ancient Egyptian tongue. The word Moses can be a verb or a noun in ancient Egyptian language. It can mean deliver the children, deliver the male, deliver the holy male, deliver the people, depending on the determinative or the accent on how you say it. Mesu, Masa, Meses. And it's a name it's incorporated in many of the kings, the pharaohs' names. Like Ramesses uses the name Moses, Ra, Moses, Ramesses. So the word Moses is derived directly from the ancient Egyptian language, the word Meses, which means to deliver. As a proper noun, it means the deliverer, or the messenger. Meses, messenger, Mesu, Moses. Next one, Michael. Saint Michael's name is derived from the ancient Egypt as Makahuel. They don't use the word El. Let me tell you about the word El and Ra are the same words. El is a Semitic form of the word Ra, where they don't like to use the word R, the R sound, and the ancient Egyptians didn't like the L sound originally. L was not in their ancient alphabet. They developed L to so they can write foreigners' names, but they didn't like saying L. They used Ra, meant God, and in the Hebrew, El means God. So the word Emmanuel means El is the God part. And Gabriel, El is the God part too. El is God, or Elohim means gods, plural. Let me think. Can I think of any more? Gabriel, Moses, Mary, Heru, Hercules, St. George, Ptah, Buddha. Ptah going to the east becomes Peter. So it's Buddha, Ptah Ray becomes Peter. And because literally it's a patrician or patriarchal power, which means it's the masculine or the male phallic of God. Peter, like PP penis, okay? And so it's the male phallic of God. So it's like the obelisk becomes the Ptah. It's the male erect phallic of the sun. And so the word Peter, and I think in the Christian context, means it's like a rock. It's short rock, but it really means rock hard. It means erected rock, the male phallic of God. Back in the ancient days, they wasn't hung up with sex, so there was feminine words and masculine words, and it went in the language. It was the sentence had to conform with the masculinity or the femininity, and so there was God, the masculine, and there's God, the feminine. God, the feminine, had a feminine name like Aset, and God, the masculine, had the name Peter or Papa, Peter or Ptah, which was God the masculine. That's something you have to look into, how it's different from today. In English, they don't separate the masculine, feminine tenses in the sentence structure and in the ideas. The balance in Aramaic is balance word. They use the word Yahweh, or now they mess it up and call it Jehovah. But originally it was Yahweh. Yahweh was the masculine, and the way, like Milky Way, was the feminine. And in Africa and Swahili, we say, Wewe ni mzuri sana, which means women, you look fine. So Wewe means woman, even today in Swahili. Okay, that's enough for today. Until next time, I hope you had fun. And next time, hotel.